Hi guys, and welcome to Super Metallurgy.
Perfect.
Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Audi RS3. It's my car. It's a RS3 2018, purchased locally in South London. The car came with 400 horsepower, and I was recently travelling back from Singapore, and I was sitting on the aeroplane and I was thinking, well, now the 911 Turbo is gone, what am I going to do with the Audi? So I have gone out and I've started researching getting it remapped. After much research and looking at different companies, I found a company with a gentleman called Elliot, who owns a company called KingMaps, which is based in Sheerness in Kent. I decided to go and pay him a visit and have a chat with him. So having got down to Elliot at Sheerness, he said to me, give me a few minutes with the car, and he popped in a laptop into the OBD2 port, which is under the steering wheel in this car, opened up the engine, and he said he needed about an hour with the car, maybe an hour and a half. It was a wet, rainy, horrible day, and so I thought, okay, fine, I'll go off and I'll get some food and a cup of tea, and I'll let him crack on with it. After coming back to him an hour and a half later, the car was just being finished up. It was pouring down with rain, bonnet was open, ports were all undone, and he got his laptop plugged in and he was sitting in the driver's seat with the engine switched on. He then informed me that he'd extracted nearly another 100 horsepower out of the engine, and the engine was up to 500 horsepower from the standard factory 400. This is a massive increase, and for the money, it was £499.99. It's the best amount of money you could ever spend on a car. Gearbox is changing as normal, engine seems normal, temperatures haven't gone up. I've seen no issues whatsoever from the vehicle, so I'm extremely impressed. The 0 to 60 appears to be down slightly. I don't know the exact figures, but it was 4 seconds straight from Audi. I imagine it's come down a little bit with another 100 horsepower, but the torque is the thing that is so exciting. So whereby you would normally accelerate this car, and let's say you've come out of a petrol station on a motorway and you've gone into second gear, and then you accelerate, and then third gear, and then it starts to run out of puff and you have to change gear into fourth up to your motorway speed. In this, now, you don't need to do any of that. So you put your foot down and it tries to light its tyres in first, second, third gears, and it's pulling all the way. So it's got just under 700 pounds of torque, which is absolutely phenomenal in a small car, because you've got to remember, this weighs next to nothing. It's like a roller skate with 500 horsepower and getting on for 700 newton pounds of torque, which is a vast amount of torque. To give you an idea, my old Porsche 911 Turbo, my 991, was running 500 horsepower in standard guise, but it had nearly 700 horsepower. Sorry, it had 700 and something torques coming out of the engine. Now that car was a 7-speed PDK twin clutch gearbox. This is a twin clutch as well, but with the DSG. It's just the derived form for Audi and Volkswagen, and it now actually delivers its power and doesn't run out of puff. It's quite a phenomenal machine. Now there's not an awful lot to show you because the port is now closed back up, the laptop has gone, Elliot has left and he's gone on to remap many other vehicles, I imagine, and the bonnet is closed. So you're not seeing anything different on this car except the performance. So I'm going to try and get a few performance videos, and I'm going to try and get a few audio shots as well, that you can hear this thing, because it sounds slightly different, a bit more poppy and bangy, but really it's very civilized. So even in dynamic mode, which is the equivalent of a sort of a Sport Plus in the Porsche, it's very tractable. The Quattro system puts the power down on the ground very well, and I've got to say it's transformed the car, and I don't know why Audi hasn't done this from factory. Back and I asked Elliot, what are the issues with this? What are the downsides to it? Because at the moment the pros are engine performance, horsepower has gone up by nearly 100 horsepower, torques have gone through the roof. So I've got some serious benefits. He also said it would save fuel. Not so sure about that, quite frankly. I think it's because maybe you don't need so much of a heavy right foot that you don't actually use so much gas. But I don't see any other benefit really, and quite frankly, people that say, oh, they've chipped their car for fuel consumption, they're liars in my book. They just need to ease off the gas a bit, and actually they'll get better fuel consumption if they don't drive like lunatics. But it's each for their own. So he told me the cons to it were, if we go too high, we're going to need to do intercooler to keep the charge down and keep the cooling down on that charge going into the engine. Turbo could be stressed if we go too high, and obviously other components in the engine could be stressed. But the main one is, if we don't get the turbo temperature to the correct temperature, then we're not really going to see a gain. We're actually going to see it coming back the other direction. The other thing is, from generating more heat from the engine, the air filter may need looking at in the future, but at the moment it seems to be okay for the power we're extracting. We're not making too much more heat inside the engine bay. It's just making it more tractable, so the mappers allowed it so that the power comes in earlier and keeps going through the rev range, rather than just dissipating and walloping you in the back and then disappearing again, ready for your next gear change. This is much more tractable, so I'm finding the power curve starts off early and then continues on for a fair way up the rev range until you then change gear. But it's really, how big are your balls and do you want to keep your foot on the throttle, which in England is hard to do anyway, because we have a speed limit of 70 miles an hour, so you can only go so fast. I imagine on a racetrack, which I really want to do a track day in it to see how the performance has been changed and put it up against a normal RS3, would be very interesting and will be a whole new video. So let's have a little look at it and we'll see how we go with it. And we've got some nice aerial footage just before it started raining. You can probably hear the rain hitting the windscreen at the moment. But thanks for watching, and let's see if we can get a few performance runs out of it. So let's see if we can see how this has made a difference. We'll look at the dash and watch the rev needle and things like that. Okay, so this is the startup on the car. So let's get this looked at. So you can see the screen rises out of the centre. This turns on. I then have a code I've got to type in. Then it will flash twice, like so. Foot on brake. Can hear those little pops as she starts up. Let's give this windscreen a quick clean as well. Okay, so we get the main gauge in the centre, and then we can just, so you can see the torque meter working. And if I put this in a little bit, see it's made a little bit of difference, but not a vast amount. See if it taught me to going up. So if we just drive this for a little while, put it into drive and into sport. And you can see this actually working. So if I turn this around and if I stop it here. Okay, so we're at stop. I mean, if I give it some. Definitely made a bit of difference to the way the delivery of the power is. Okay, so this is where the port is located. You can see that up under the dashboard there. So he plugs his computer into that port and then downloads all of the current ECU information and then uploads the new information. So there's nothing really else that can be seen. It's particularly wet and rainy out here, as you can see today, which is really pretty dreadful. So I'm going to close this door, get in the car because it's pretty horrible. But this is really all he did, and to extract for 500 horsepower for £499.99 is absolutely amazing. So I'm really rather chuffed with it, and I hope that the power on this continues to go as well as it has done. I will be watching out for services because obviously I need to make sure that we're not going to have issues with warranties, but I have spoken to them and they said yes, they thought it'd be absolutely fine because we're only dealing with the ECU. We're not touching any of the other computers in the car, the gearbox or anything like that. It is purely the car engine that we were looking at, the engine management system. So an ECU is called an electronic control unit, but phenomenally good. I highly recommend it, and if any of you see the car, please shout, let me know, and I'll take you out and I'll show you what it can do. Thanks ever so much. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll get a few more out shortly. So we're going back to Manila and we've got some more being done in the Philippines. Take care, thank you, subscribe, bye.
Listen.